a, it's a. First of all, I say, "G'day, mate. How are you?"
Yeah, good.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. I'm hearing even people on the street complaining about reception. Their phones, my kids' phones aren't working. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting,
Yep. Yeah, it's getting that way. How's things with you?
mate. Really good. Just had a little baby. Had a home birth, which was really awesome. Really
Nice.
great experience, mate. That's my fifth kid, and all the other four were in hospitals and were a nightmare.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's the way to go.
yeah, mate, it was really good experience. So, and now just looking after the missus, mate, nursing her, and
Yeah.
just lots of good food. Just trying to rest, mate, and enjoy the time we have together. So yeah, man. What about at your end?
Yeah, well, just it's always busy, but yeah, it's never not good, so can't complain. No
How-
kids yet.
Not yet, mate.
Not yet.
You know what's around
We'll
the
get there.
corner.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
That's it. Yeah, how'd you go at that rally, mate?
Yeah, I liked it. It was good. Were you there?
No, mate, I've been in baby Bubbleville, mate, just looking after, yeah, the missus at the moment, mate, and just trying to
Yeah.
make sure they're okay. Yeah, so that's sort of been my world lately. Yeah, mate, but good good turnout.
Yeah, it was there was a lot of people there. Don't know how many, but there was a lot.
Yep. Yeah, awesome, man. Well, yeah, thanks for the opportunity to have a chat today, mate. Really
Yeah,
pumped. I
sure.
remember when I first saw some of your vids come out. I was like, wow, this guy is awesome. And with the background you got, mate, you've got a bit of clout to be able to speak about certain topics. So, mate, really awesome to have such a man on board, and really interesting topic that we're going to cover today, mate, with music and 432 hertz. It's crazy how deep the control goes, and when people even get an understanding about it, even the music's being fiddled with. It's very interesting stuff, and you can quite clearly hear the difference between 432 and 440. And hopefully today we can chat about, and make it a bit clearer to people what the difference is and what benefits you get from the 432 hertz, mate.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's a big topic. Yeah, I remember when I was in music school at college, and people used to laugh about it.
Wow.
It was some weird thing, and there's nothing to it. And I was there for a couple of years, and by the time I left, one of the guys who was, one of the senior kind of lecturers and that there started talking about it a bit, and I'm like, you were just laughing about it when I first brought it up.
Yeah.
And no, and these are people that have been in music for their whole life and
Yep.
still aren't really aware of it.
It's interesting, mate. Yep. And even music itself so interesting too. Like, two really good topics, mate, because get once you delve into it and you get an understanding about his story and our story, and clearly his story, or most people say history, is very, very different to what we've been taught in schools. What they're pumping in the mainstream is very different, and it only takes a little bit of research before you see that mainstream narrative crumbling before your eyes. So when it comes to history, and then okay, if this something happened only 200 years ago, perhaps we were entered into this realm, it looks like. So before that, like, we're told about Mozart and these great composers, and like, were they real? I don't know. That's what I've been thinking lately, mate. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
No idea. I have no idea about that stuff, but I know that there's kids come through and they're like 3 or 4 years old and they're just, virtuosos on a piano. And it's like, how does that happen? Like,
Yeah,
is that what Mozart is? It's just like an energy or something that just incarnates into, I don't know. I have no idea, but I know it's something pretty special when you experience it. It's almost like, Jesus Christ I don't know, was a real guy. I don't know. I think it's a representation of
100%.
of so I'm not sure. I hear where you're going, but I don't know the answer.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing, mate. Like we are, we're only just start to question this. It's real fresh sort of stuff that, so if where did music really come from? And then you can get into, things like the Laurel Canyon and stuff like that, where a lot of these bands like your Doors and the Bee Gees and all these bands, came from, for looked like there was an agenda in place to push and they're all from a military base. So really interesting. Like you talk about music, and then you look at MTV. This is where it gets pretty interesting too, because MTV in my world represents Masonic television. So they're broadcasting. So you can get into wordplay and spells and spelling and how they're doing all that to us also. But when it comes to that music side of it and the Hollywood stuff, music has certainly got an agenda there.
Yeah, totally. In the West, it does for sure. It's funny too, because I was in Sri Lanka about 2 or 3, I forget, a while ago, and there's still some of the old culture which is Indian inspired, where there's tabla players and things like that. But then if you go on the buses, for example, they're just blaring all of their current kind of pop music, and it's really, really bad.
Yeah,
as in way worse than here. Like the beat is literally a click track.
Way worse than here. That's a big call.
Yeah, it is a big call, but there's no complexity to it at all. It's very banal. It's actually like I was sitting on the bus thinking I was just listening to a Pro Tools click track for 10 minutes at a time when I was on the buses. That's what it sounded like. It didn't even have any real musicality or movement to the groove or anything. And that's from somewhere that they do actually have influence from classical music.
Isn't it crazy? So, man, it gives you an idea of where those people's headspaces are at listening to this garbage. We were lucky. Yeah, mate. We were lucky to, like, I reckon I was born in 77, experienced the 90s, mate. I'm a 90s man. And as you know, mate, the bands back then were bands, and the music industry's gone. So, but bands were, you used to buy your CD or your vinyl, you used to have your cover. And, those are the days where bands were started in a garage and, 4 mates from school got together and, and mate, years ago, like I've been in music all my life, and I did a record with a bloke called Dave Nicholas a few years back who did that NXS Kick album and stuff like that. He's a real big Aussie producer, but the band I was in got signed to this label, Rhinoceros Records. Anyway, to cut a long story short, he loved us and signed us. Then he went out and shopped us to Sony and all the big record labels, and they didn't want a bar of it. And he's like, but here are these guys, like, mate, they're 4 mates. They're from Sydney. They're doing this. They're just like, doesn't matter. Like those days, mate, those days are gone. It's the first thing they ask is how many followers do they have on Instagram? How many, what on their website? What's their like all this sort of stuff? There's no risk involved. There's no passion. There's no love left in the music industry anymore. There's no one willing to take a risk. So yeah, it's basically a formula, mate, that these labels are following these days. So, but yeah,
it's funny because I watched that Bohemian Rhapsody movie that came out relatively recently, and that's kind of like part of the story is that where the guy's like, you can't have a 6-minute song, you can't have it going from here to there and then changing meter and tempo, and they're like, but that's the song, and they didn't take that risk, and that's, I think it started even well before then where they were getting a bit risk averse, but yeah, it's definitely changed a lot. And I think it's not necessarily a bad thing, Gary, because it's like it's just in that one paradigm that things have changed. So that record label industry that was the monopoly over music, it became a monopoly because of the way that it kind of drove it. But then you can do music any other way you want. You can self-produce, self-release, you can run it through different networks. And yeah, I get that they've got, it's like any other system. It's like if you're a nurse, you need to work in the hospital system, you think, but
Yep.
there's also a lot of private stuff you can do. You just don't really know how those networks work yet. And yeah, you probably won't have the same degree of resources or reach that you would through the standard system, but that's also a highly toxic system. And
Yeah.
likewise, if I were in a band now, I wouldn't want to be signed to a label. I'd want to do it all in the private, and I'd want to do it my own way and make it organic and make it real. And there's still always people need to listen to music, buy music, and support musicians. So it just means that there's an alternative way to do that, and that's where I'm kind of focusing on myself.
Oh, mate, it's really changing. It's really changed. It's really like great point. Like that's where it's heading, or it's headed. You know, you know, vinyl, I think, is sort of getting a little bit of traction, which is great as well. You know, a lot of people have, got the record players. And again, as we know, the quality of sound, analog versus digital. Analog, it's all about money, mate. Digital CDs and all that garbage. People are wanting the product. They're wanting something to hold in their hand. Like they're like a vinyl record these days is, and mate, I did send you a copy of a song that I've been working on, and I hope you had a little squeeze of that. And that's sort of my next little album that I'm working on, mate. And we're going to release that on vinyl. So yeah, and go to back to the old, the old school sort of, people, even the house gigs and things like that are becoming more common with all these ridiculous rules in place and so forth, mate. And
we had a festival here recently, last weekend, called Free the Nation Music Festival, and that was done on private land, private invite, but everything's private, and so it was great. Everyone had such a good time. Bands loved playing, and it was a real step forward for everyone involved. Just really was lifted by that festival. So that's the guy, Ben Mitchell, who runs that. He runs Free the Nation Music, which is on like Instagram and everything, and there's heaps of bands all the time. So that's just that's just one way. Anyone can do that. Anyone can get a private venue, not like hire the RSL or the local hall or the local, the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. That's all public. So hire a private venue and then just do it that way. It's all by private invite, and it's great.
Yeah, and just before my missus fell pregnant, we were still doing it up until we could, but we'll do it exactly like you said, mate. We're running little. She's a yoga teacher, and I just sit there playing guitar in 432 hertz, and we do yoga and nice meditation, and people really get a lot out of it, and we love doing it. But yeah, exactly like you said, mate. On private. It's all private and through invites, and that seems to be the way that we're moving. And
yeah, I reckon for sure. What do you reckon about artwork as well? Hey, because when you just mentioned you're just putting that out, your new album on vinyl, it's like I don't have the same time that I had when I was a teenager, but part of the experience of the album was like the artwork and stuff, and then going through and look at the pictures, or the lyrics might have been in there, and you got a lot out of just that physical, tangible experience of. I mean, the artwork itself, I think, was amazing, and especially when I got into Tool, that opened my eyes to, the fractal stuff and Alex Gray art and stuff. So, are you putting, effort into that as well? Is that part of the experience?
Yeah, 100%, mate. I'm sort of toiling with my own sort of ideas for artwork. I've always been passionate about my own sort of artwork as well. Just when you got so many kids, man, it's just hard to find the time to do it. But again, excuses, mate. So luckily I've got a good woman in my life now who sort of helps me focus on my goals and dreams, mate. And yeah, artwork's a big thing, Tom. That's a great point, mate. And like you said, I still remember, you like your Green Day Dookie album. I can remember that, that artwork that was, it's all been, and like you touched on Tool, like mate, those albums are just, that's part of that something to hold and look at and appreciate and see where their head's at. Like it really takes you into experience the band and their mood, I think, and what they're about. And that's what everyone's missing, these kids of today, and yeah, with the music they're pumping, mate, in that. And I just love that when you look at the wordplay, and like when you look at, okay, they're pumping 440 hertz. So when we look at 440 hertz, and so what's going on when they're playing this, it's missing, well, it's bypassing the essential harmonics that you would receive through 432 hertz, because it's Pythagorean, and it's, when it's reverberating, it's hitting all these other octaves that when you're doing it in 440, you're missing all these beautiful octaves. And so, yeah, this is when they're broadcasting. So they're broadcasting the spell upon everyone through the radio and so forth. And all that's the crazy thing, mate. This rubbish music that they're playing, it's also being played at a frequency that is wrong, and it's no good for us. And yeah, and there's no healing value.
Yeah. Yeah, well, for those that don't know what that means, do you want to just maybe, do your listeners know much about hertz and 432, 440, 528? Do people know about it or not?
No, I think I would hope that a lot of my people who do listen to me would know, but yeah, I think it's a good thing to chat about. Yeah, like, and well, 432 is, like I just touched upon, mate. It's creating more of a dimensional sound, and it's healing to us. And mate, the interesting thing that this all goes back to, mate, as I'm sure you're aware, is atoms and electromagnetism and frequency. You know, and this is, see, the ancients and the ancient wisdom that like, for example, the Tartarians held. And mate, have you looked into star forts at all? Have you heard of that term?
No.
So, mate, I'd suggest autodidactic. He was a legend who I think you've had a chat with. He covers star forts really well. And if you go to autodidactic channel on YouTube, for any listeners out there, get into that, because, mate, when I say everything is frequency and so forth, so the ancients were building these cities on ley lines on the earth, on this circuit board which we live, and they knew where to build these somehow, whether it be where birds flocked or however they worked it out. They knew, they had an understanding of this realm that is not presented to most of us these days. But these star forts, man, it's just so interesting, because I don't know if you've ever seen when they play like granules of sand through on a piece of paper through different frequencies, what it does to the sand granules, and it changes the patterns of the granules. So, mate, all these, they call them star forts, but because they're sort of shaped like stars in the earth when you're looking at these things from above. And over time, they've always called them like castle walls or forts, things like that. When in fact, the ancients were, it's just beautiful knowledge, mate, because the ancients were building these star forts, but all in geometric patterns. And their cities and waterways were all, their canal systems were all being like running through this frequency. And the canals are all running in the same shape. So not only are the crops and all the drinking water that they're drinking is running through their bodies and going on their crops and all this sort of stuff, people were living for hundreds of years. And this, again, knowledge that has been ripped from us. But for all the listeners out there, mate, star forts, really beautiful topic to look into. And Tartaria, these ancients that have left their mark here that we can still find. Yeah,
I have seen that actually. Yeah, now that I remember, and especially that, I think everyone's seen it now. That 7-hour Lost History of Flat Earth doco by that Iwa dude. But that's I've got a lot of that too.
Yeah. Well, Eric Dubé was a good one for when I first started, on the flat Earth stuff. And yeah, but it all goes back to the flat Earth too, mate, as well, like with sound, music, frequency, words, like just what we're in, elections, where we go and elect our ions to see who's in charge at the voting, the vault booths, like the etymology that exists before us these days. And, you know, like I said, they use words as swords through spelling and casting spells. But like I said, broadcasting is where they're also casting their spells through television, live vision, so forth. And yeah, music, mate, which is a real strong one, because as humans, we love music. We love to feel. We're creative. See, we're creative beings, you know, and that's why we have a pineal gland, you know. And the story of Pinocchio is a great one too. Sorry to keep sort of going away a little bit.
Yeah.
No one realized Pinocchio is a story about the pineal gland. You know, it's a boy seeking the truth, but it was actually written in Italy. And Occhio is Italian for eye, and pin is short for pineal. So it's a story about the pineal eye and a boy seeking the truth. And that's all we're doing here. We're you know, guys like us, mate, we're seeking the truth. And so there's a lot of truth through nursery rhymes and things like that. Again, it's crazy. All the lies are in movies and the truth's in fairy tales. Like, yeah, it's an interesting reality we're in.
Yeah, for sure. And how do you tune your guitar? So when you're tuning to 432, what do you use, a specific tuner, or how do you go about it?
Mate, a really good, I've got my phone here, and I'm glad you asked, mate, because for any listeners out there, again, a great easy way. It's just an app called Guitar Tuner, and it's got a big pick. When you go into it, I'll just see if you can see on my apps there. It's that little guitar tuner there with a green pick.
Yeah.
And mate, within that, you open it up, and then you just go into your settings, and you can just calibrate through there.
Nice.
So yeah, and it's real easy. So you just go into your settings. So I'll just see your settings come up, and then down here, where's my hand? You got calibrate, and then at the moment you can see I'm in 432.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, man. So that's a really easy way for everyone out there to do it and experience a difference. And mate, you know, I make guitars for a living. That's my sort of, I've been at that for years now, again, following a dream that sort of I just put everything into, and pretty hard to make money at that at the moment. But luckily, just sold a really nice guitar and Noosa Music up there in Noosa. They do a bit of work for us, mate. So they're awesome guys, and that'll get me through Christmas, which is great. But yeah, like all this knowledge, mate, and guitar making, and mate, like when I was 18 years old, I didn't even realize at that point, but I was 18-year-old at schoolies, man. I got a swatch sticker tattooed on my ankle. Yeah. Everyone thought I was insane, but it's a little bit round. And I thought, no, I like that picture, and I don't care what anyone. I've never really liked many people. It's just, and now I understand why. You know what I mean? You know, but the swatch sticker is actually a representation of flat Earth, and the Polaris. It's the Big Dipper going around Polaris in the 4 seasons. So again, mate, they turn things upside down, and you know, try to manipulate things, and like even that, like, and then they use Hitler, like this guy who's supposed to just be the worst guy in the world and kill all these people, and that's his symbol. Like, wow, they're a genius, man. Like, sometimes you gotta take your hat off to these things and just go, wow, like they're a step ahead, you know, but I can see through their lies.
Yeah. I think more people are as well. You know, it's starting to get very undone, which is cool. You know, it's still part of, I think it's a great experience, but I think, you know, it's interesting the way that it works in music, because it just, like, music's just getting worse and worse. You know, I heard, I mean, I don't listen to radio or Spotify or anything like that, but it's like, if you start hearing some stuff, or you start flicking through TikTok, because there's actually some cool stuff on there, but the majority of it is just it's like the music that they're setting stuff to is just, I mean, people used to say that when, when we were
Yeah,
kids, older guys be like, that's not music. But it's
exactly.
like really not now. It's really not music at all. It's so, you can feel how, you can feel the resonance of it, and it's very awful.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not an accident, mate. And
It's not
no,
harmonic at all.
and I asked myself
No.
why, like how, mate. I think we'll put it this way. I think fluoride in the old water supply has got a big part of it, mate, because
Mhm.
they've lost their when you calcify your pineal gland through fluoride, because that's what it does. You lose your sense, your touch with nature. It's like that movie Avatar where they plug in. He's riding that dragon, mate. He plugs his thick cord into the dragon or whatever it is, and he rides. I don't know if you remember that movie
Yeah.
Avatar, but mate, that's the pineal gland, and that hook it with nature that we possess as humans, and
Mhm.
that's what they want, and that's what
Yeah.
they're trying,
Yeah.
and it's really really working, mate, and it's just so interesting to see that guys like you and myself and all the other like guys who are probably watching this podcast can just see through it. It's just such an interesting time to be alive and witness this. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So what's your kind of, I don't know, do you have a goal with your music, for example, that's designed, because some people, I'll put it this way,
Yeah,
some
man.
people write music specifically to hit different parts of the listener where it's designed to awaken something, some frequency, some tone, some rhythm,
Yeah.
something that's supposed to tap back into that innate intelligence. Whereas other people just write songs because it just like they want to express something, like they're a singer
Yeah.
songwriter, they want
Yep.
to sing about someone they broke up with or some hope message. But it's a different thing because they're just usually going A minor, E, G, C, A minor, and it's like in 4/4, and there's so nothing in the harmonic resonance, the rhythmic structure, or the tonality, or anything is designed to elicit anything in the body. It's all emotive, as in I
Yeah.
broke up with someone and I cried for 10 days, and now my heart's reopening. Like that kind of usual. I don't
Yeah.
particularly like it, but that good on people who like it. But that's like the it's just hitting an emotional center as
Yeah.
opposed to music. It's actually hitting something primal, ancient in us that is
I love it,
awakening and
man.
activating.
Yeah, really awesome. I would question, man. All my life, man, like I grew up on like Soundgarden, Tool, Stone Temple Pilots, Smashing Pumpkins, mate. And these guys, you can hardly understand a word they're saying. So for me, music was never about words and like splitting up with my girlfriend. Like, mate, far out, Brussels sprout. Like, if that's what music is to you, then you know what I mean. Like, grow some testicles, mate. Like, that John Mayer or whatever his name is, mate. That guy singing to crowds of girls and with his shirt off, like, mate. Yeah, like that's what you're talking about. That intent of, like that. He's not writing music to evoke that primal, instinct or feeling or energy. So with me for years, mate, with all my music, I was writing music again with no lyrical basis really for so many years. And mate, I've been in music for like 25 years now. I was playing in the Excelsior Hotel when I was 17 in Sydney. But when I wrote music, like I said, for so long, never in any intent on lyrics. And it's only been lately that in the last couple of years, when I've got my head around 432 and what's going on about, for the first time in my life, I'm actually writing lyrics with intent. And my whole actual vocal way that I'm projecting my voice has sort of changed too. Because when you're singing, the difference again, when you're singing between 440 and 432, it's about 4 notes lower, 432. So, mate, for years I struggled with just going to hit notes, or you sing a verse and then you try to hit that chorus, and man, it's just like it was always, and when you're trying to sing over a band, you got just two blokes on distortion guitars, bass player, drums, man, it was always, so I always found that I had to scream a lot, just to be heard a bit, I became pretty good at screaming. But yeah, so mate, now all my music, like the one that I sent to you, is all with intent. My lyrics have really, I'm trying to evoke, because mate, I sit there listening to this music, I cry. Like it makes me cry because I sit there and it means so much to me. And the guys that I've got playing with me now, like, so we've all got home studios. We're all sort of, session players who've been at it for a long time. So I've got a sort of bass player in London, but I've also got a bass player just in the next suburb in Pomona. And then I've got my drummer who's like, mate, he's got about 30 years experience, like a real good session player up here on the coast, Robbie Armes. Everyone loves Robbie and knows Robbie. And if you listen to Robbie, g'day, mate. But yeah, so I'm lucky enough to have these awesome guys. So I'm creating these songs. I write the lyrics, I send them off to these guys, and then they record their parts, and I sort of compose it all. So, but we're all in it together, mate. And whatever, even monetary wise, I just say to them, mate, I'll just share. If we end up making some coin, I'll just share it with you. Like, it's never been about money to me. I fucking hate money, mate. And, now I know why I hate money, because, you look at the rat race and we are the human race, and they're all running around in circles for money. And mate, Mike Tyson, it's funny, like some of the quotes that guy pulls off, like if you've ever, he's a bloody intelligent, he's certainly not as dumb as he looks. And he says, he says a quote where he says, if you think money's going to make you happy, then you've never had money, And there's another saying which I love that, about the American dream, and these are all the same people. They all want to live the American dream, they're chasing the American dream. But the funny thing about the American dream is you got to be asleep to live the dream.
Yeah.
And that's it. They're all asleep, brother. So once you start to wake up, and guys like yourself, myself, who you can see through it, like, wow, it's a wild ride, but I'd rather, it's like the Matrix. It is literally like the Matrix, mate. Red, blue, blue pill. So, and this is what people don't understand. So when you look into like flat earth and stuff, everything is polar or polarity. The word polarity comes into it. So as above, so below. Red pill, blue pill. But what that actually means is everything that materializes in this realm before our eyes materialize between the red and blue light spectrum. So that's why the chakras, red, blue. You've got boxing, that all, red and blue corner. You got your politics, red and blue. You got your red bloods, blue bloods. Even water, you got the hot water tap, red and blue, cold blue. Like this red, blue, like it's just there everywhere. Matrix, the red, blue, blue pill, like it's there before our eyes. They're shoving it down our throat. It's like they want to wake us up, mate.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
I get a feeling of that from time to time. It's just, I mean, I spoke to Owen Benjamin. The first time I spoke to him was a couple of years ago. And I just remember I said that, it's almost like they've set this arrangement up where they're almost like hoping you'll get through. They're like putting it all out there. It's like, here's all the answers, guys. And it's not their fault that people aren't getting it. And they're almost like, he's going to, no.
Yeah.
And then they're almost waiting for some people to come through and they'll be cheering you on when you get there. It's like, dude, you finally made it. Well done.
Yeah, it's like a big test, mate. And and I don't know if it's that I've sort of got, I think the satanic side of it, part of it is that they've got to actually like show you. It's like part of their little game that they actually have to show you. It's like, you can't let the zombie through the front door, the vampire through the front door unless you welcome them in.
Yeah, there has to be by agreement and consent. They know that. That's a universal law, if you want to control people the way they do, you still have to abide by those laws because you're not above them. You're very much susceptible to the wrath of going against those laws. So that's why they do it. They have to put out. So there's informed about everything, and therefore it's all about contracts. And then the contracts form an agreement. So then the agreement is formed whenever people say, yeah, I'll take that, or I'll do that, or I'll accept that, and without really knowing that, maybe consciously at least, that they have a decision and a choice. And so therefore they can come up with a different agreement, and the agreement could just be, no, I don't want that. But you see most people, they want it, they want the Kool-Aid, and they want they form that agreement.
Yeah.
That blue pill, is it? I think that's the blue pill.
Yeah, well, mate, the Stockholm syndrome is real.
Very real.
Yeah, man, they're protecting their captors, or the people keeping them captive. It's mate, and the sad thing is, like, I've just had a little baby girl, and my family don't speak to me, none of them. And this is the divide. See, the art of war is to divide and conquer. So they're just dividing, and this is like, they're so smart, but mate, not many people can see through and see, it's so big, the lie, that people just can't, like, how could they all be in on it? Like space travel, how could they all be in on it? I'll tell you how. $52 million a day that NASA gets, mate, would make me bloody, step up and create images.
Pretty big. But it's also funny because the money is a fiction anyway. So, like you said before, it's like what Mike Tyson said. Like, it makes some things happen, but as soon as the spell's broken, it pretty much means nothing. Like, if you look at some of the footage that NASA's put out, it's like, man, I could do better with $500. To get the 52 million, I could make better stuff for a lot less money.
Well, mate, that's where, again, I think they're just like saying, look, idiots, look at our, like, the thing we landed on the moon's made of broomsticks and sticky tape and Band-Aids. And people will still argue that they went there. Like, even the whole thing about the moon cracks me up, bro, because they went up, right? And then two jumped off. He goes down, two of them, cruise around in the golf buggies, play a bit of golf, whilst the other dude orbits the moon like twice, just orbits the moon. And then just when they're ready, when they're finished playing a bit of putt-putt and cruising around in the buggy that they pulled out of that little thing, that little shit capsule with the broomsticks, they pull out a car and drive around in it, and then they hook up again with the other one and then come back to Earth, mate. The whole thing's just laughable.
Someone's still filming it. Someone got left behind, obviously, to film and leaving.
Yeah.
And arrive.
Oh man, it's interesting, the moon. Well, I could go on about for hours about that sort of stuff, mate. It's and there's some great guys out there that are ripping it all up. And what cracks me up is the old Werner von Braun. Heard of that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Nazi scientist, who died on his tombstone. It's like Psalm 9:11. Don't quote me on that. It quotes that, like, it's a quote about the firmament above.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're a Nazi NASA scientist who's sending people to the moon, would you put on your gravestone that there's a firmament above the earth?
Exactly.
And funnily enough, he wrote a book about a boy called Elon who goes to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
What a coinky dink.
Yeah, I
know. Oh man, so old Elon Muskie. So he's an interesting cat, mate, because what they've done with that puppet is they give you a bit of truth with him,
Yeah.
You know, he's doing stuff out there, giving people advice on finance and this and crypto, like whatever, you know, and everyone's going, oh, yeah, Elon, oh. And then so he seems like he's the normal guy, you know, and da da da. And then he's sending rockets to space apparently as well, like a private, just a guy sending rockets to space, and you know, like,
Yeah.
though, mate, that guy, yeah, he's a puppet.
I'm one of the people that wants to spend money, like however much money, to get a seat on it, and then realizing it doesn't actually leave the earth.
Yeah, well, Richard Branson's tickets, like from 20 years ago, mate, were 250 grand each a pop. And I wonder if those people have got their money back.
Yeah.
20 years ago, he was promising that. Yeah, so we're not going anywhere, mate.
No. I'm just wondering as well, like, you know, one of the things, have you ever seen Futurama by the same guys that made The Simpsons?
I have seen it. I haven't watched a lot of it, but I know.
So there was this episode where the dumb guy, Fry, he became really intelligent and he figured out how to play this instrument. And this instrument's like, I can't remember it, I saw it years and years ago, but it triggered something in me that was a memory in me, because I'm like, I've seen that thing somewhere, I know what it is. And he plays this instrument that's kind of like a flute or something with a thing on the end. And as he's playing it, he's just hitting certain frequencies, and then it creates a kaleidoscope of color as well. So all the different, so it's like this, the sound becomes color, and it becomes something that is, it's something that's very transcendental. And when you talk about, say, the physical structure, it's like that's all at a harmonic frequency too. And if you can match that, then that's when you can travel, so to speak, or you could ascend or transcend or whatever. And so I think that's why one of the reasons I think a lot of us are drawn to music, because I think a lot of us might be chasing a certain resonant frequency through music. That if we can find it, we kind of, in some way, something happens. I don't know exactly what, but that's something that when I saw that episode, I was like, I know what, I don't know mentally in my brain, in my mind what it is, but in something in me knows what that is. And I'm like, And then that kind of, when I meet people like you that specifically want to play in certain, you know, like play at 432 hertz, I'm like, are you constructing your instruments specifically? Like, are you, I mean, to tune to it is one thing once you've made an instrument, tune to it, but to create an instrument in the first place with the specific intent of reaching a certain frequency is another thing. So I'm wondering if you're going there with your instrument making.
Well, mate, that's a really interesting point again. And with instruments were made to play in the frequent, you know, the note of A. They're all wrote around the 432, and the structure, the actual physical distance from your saddle to the middle of your guitar and your nut, it has to be a certain, and it's all takes into account, and this is with violins and so forth, mate. Yeah, so it's all relative to 432 hertz. And mate, here's one of my guitars I've made. You know, they're just, this is a triple O. A lot of Aussie guitar timbers. That's a camphor. So yeah, mate, these are all.
How do you find that as a tone wood?
I love it, man. It's it is a little bit sort of, I guess, denser. It's got a little bit of it was a bit of an experiment, this one, and it's ended up you can just hear my guitars, mate, when I'm talking. I don't know if you can hear it, but they really just, you can hold them and they just sort of sing, hello. Yeah. But yeah, they're really alive and light, mate. See, that's the other thing with instruments, like they don't have to be made heavy. You get all these guitars these days that are, and that's a Walton, if anyone's looking, if you ever want a custom, give me a call. They're made with love. And mate, the difference between like someone who really knows what they're doing and these guitars that they're pumping out, I'm not going to mention any names, but they're all made out of the same factory, and they just pieced together by 20 different people. And a lot of these guitars actually come to me, and I end up setting them up right and adjusting them and at least getting them to function, you know. So it's crazy what people will spend $3,000-4,000 on a guitar, and then they bring it here and play one of mine and they go, oh, I've wasted my money. But again, it's
I've
like
never
everything in
done
this, everything these days is all about money, cutting corners, you know, buildings. Like, yeah, you look at Tartaria, it's a good, like really big point with Tartaria, that these buildings that still survive, you know, they've been here for thousands of years, and like the concrete that we use these days, mate, only lasts 100 years.
Yeah.
Not even designed. We're not even designed to be here long. So here we are, 100 years into this, living here, and all this going on. Yeah.
What do you reckon about pipe organ?
Sorry, mate. The pipe organ.
Yeah. What do you reckon about them?
Oh, wow. Good question, my friend. So the organs. Wow. So again, what's an organ? It's inside your body. Where are organs found? Inside buildings. So these buildings they're basically, best way to look at these buildings, mate, is that they're alive. So they used to build, these were all free energy buildings. They're all working off, the ancients worked out a way to, not only, obviously they're drinking, like, all the dams, we've dammed all the water supply up now. We're controlling all the water, you know. Do you think they're making people pay for water? Like, fucking hell, paying for water. That's how crazy this place is, mate.
Yeah.
Like, people don't bat an eyelid paying for water, you know? And so the Tartarians, mate, yeah, again, with organs. So there's a really good video by a guy, but I'll just give you an overview of it. I forget his name, but mate, it was in America. There was a time where they say it was the gold rush and the Gilded Age. I don't know if you've heard of the Gilded Age in America, where all these, you know, elaborate mansions were built in a really small time frame. Funnily, all these massive mansions all had organs in them. And all these buildings, mate, they've all got those harmonic frequencies, like in the doorways. You look at churches, they're all got geometric patterns. These represent frequencies. These are not church, like these weren't built for people to go to and say, thank you, God, for whatever. These were built for healing. So these organs were pumping out sound, mate, through these buildings, which are all free energy buildings, but not just that, they're pumping out this healing. So these people with that advancement, they had these organs in their house. Probably had a dude come in at 6, 7 in the morning, just wake everyone up with a bit of pipe organ, healing.
Yeah.
Drinking,
I know, it's like
frequency water.
Everyone had in the house. You know,
mate?
Everyone had a piano in their house in the, a couple of decades ago. And I mean, I still remember when I was a kid, I got taken to somewhere in Melbourne, I forget where, but they had the pipe organs there and someone was playing it. And it was, even at that age, I remember it being something special. I don't know what didn't know what it was, but it was, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, mate. It's, and who made them?
Yeah, I know. Who figured that out as well?
You know, like and the size of them. Well, these pipe organs in these cathedrals, you know, are just ginormous. It's and then you get, like, with the Tartarian stuff in these buildings left behind, see, they were a lot bigger. See, all the doorways were huge, and all they were built for bigger people. That's what people have got to understand. They were bigger people than us, mate. And so their musical instruments were bigger. So we actually still, the Smithsonians have done a great job in covering up all the history in America, you know, with all the discoveries found of huge instruments, you know. And, you know, the ones that they've sort of, you'll see that they go, oh no, we just made this ginormous, like, violin or cello, and a dude's got to stand on a, like, 5-foot box to play it. Like, it's, so that side of it, that fascinates me, mate, with Tartarian, the musical instrument side of it, the organs, and and I just did a little video on my channel last night where, so my missus said to me a couple of weeks ago about, she goes, I just want to concentrate on the future, you know, and what we're doing to prepare and all that sort of stuff. And I said, well, that's cool, babe, me too. But you got to remember there's an old saying that, mate, those who control the past control the future.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so if we can get our head around the history and the true lies, this place looks nice, man.
Yeah, just trying to get that set up. It's just I'm running out of signal and battery, so I'm just trying to get out here.
Cool, man. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
it's in the middle
great.
of nowhere.
Great little setup you got, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where are you based, Tom?
Here, Byron.
You're in, cool, mate. Yeah, awesome. And how's the vibe
Yeah.
down there, man?
Yeah, good, man. It's like, yeah, business as usual around here.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah, awesome, brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
I'll have
yeah,
to get one
mate.
of your guitars one day as well. I'll come up, or I'll get you to send one down or something. I'll
Yeah, man.
get
I'd love you to come up, and mate, you're welcome to come up and yeah, have a try. The thing is, you'll probably want to buy one.
Yeah, exactly.
But mate, like I said, I do custom, so it's interesting, man. I had a young guy who is a real shit hot guitarist, so I ended up sponsoring him. But he came around for, he had a mate and he brought around for guitar repair, and he played one of mine. I always let people have a play if they want. 2 weeks later, he sold the mate and bought one of mine. So yeah, but it's, you know, so it's just that love, mate. If you put it from start to finish, one dude, you know, and a lot of it is you've got to know what you're doing. And luckily enough, I've been taught by the best. And yeah, so I think putting it out there, mate, the Hancock guitars on the Gold Coast, they're really awesome. Been around for 25 years, taught me a lot. Yeah, even mate, just with guitar making, you like anything, mate. If there's no ego involved and you're doing it because you love it, things just come to you.
Yeah, totally.
You know, man. And that's why even this chat today, mate, I put it out, you know, we got in touch on Instagram, and I think you saw one of my posts. I liked something that you posted, and then you like what I liked. Then we just started chatting. Next thing we're having a chat together. So, mate, I just want to, you know,
we should do another one too.
Yeah, man, I'd love to, brother. Well, mate, let's pick it. Let's speak again soon, man, and we'll perhaps pick another topic and we'll maybe wrap it up there today. And you know, I'll let you get back to your beautiful house and chill, brother, and I'll get back to my beautiful missus. And mate, I'm up for anything you want to chat about, mate. I've really delved. Like, I've spent a lot of time researching, and mate, I just, it's really important for me now to sort of speak with guys like you. And like, I've got an interview coming up with Campbell next week from Autodidactic. Then I've got Santos Bonacci, mate, as well. So it's really important for me to start getting these guys on board and really getting it out. This information, mate, has to get out there to the masses. And I don't even care if it doesn't, but like, it's going to wake up the people who need to hear it, who are thirsting for knowledge. They'll come to it, mate. But the people who are too far gone, like my family, for example, mate, they're gone with the wind, as I say.
Yeah, for sure. That's what that old quote's about, though, the leading the horse to water sort of thing. It's only for those that are thirsty for it, and there's plenty of them. So
that's it, man. That's it, Tom. Well, mate, thanks again, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, mate, let's chat again soon, brother. And mate, even if you want to do something together, let us know, and you know, we can do this, mate. I'm up for anything. So yeah, look forward to chatting in the near future, my friend.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for chatting today.
Cheers, bro. Have a good one, mate.
Later.
See you, bro. Bye.